So welcome everybody. And as we just said, we're recording this for later use on our Women on the Move YouTube channel. And we're very happy to have you with us. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Barbara.
Hello, everyone. During these 3 months that remain in 2021, we're going to be focusing on the theme, Overcoming Challenges. This month, our title is Dancing Over Barriers. Many little girls at some point see a picture or a TV show of a pretty lady in a pink tutu and think they'd like to be a ballerina. And maybe, if they're lucky, they get to go to dancing class. For a fortunate few, maybe they get to dance in a local production. Or for even fewer, they get to join a dance company. It's all part of the American dream, right? But not for little Black girls. The very idea of a Black ballerina was not even on the radar for most of America. But let's take a look at what was going on under the radar. We're going to see 5 pioneers. Andrea?
That I am so honored to share with you. It was at the height of the civil rights movement in the 60s when a small dance theater in Harlem was being formed, a humble haven for budding ballerinas of color that would not only make history in an America rife with racial division, but show the world that with pure grace and grit, dance as artistic resistance can be a powerful agent of change, and it still can now.
Their precision, still on point. Their perfection, still powerful. Proof that when you master every move, it sends an unforgettable message.
We were told when we walked into a room, your chin better be up and your chest high, and you better make them say,
Hello, I'm Arthur Mitchell.
A sense of pride.
And welcome to the Dance Theatre of Harlem.
Mentor and ballet master Arthur Mitchell would show the world the traditionally white, aristocratic art form of ballet was about to have every stereotype shattered.
First they tried to say, well, their bodies, they can't do it because they have big butts and thick thighs and the women are but. And we dispelled that. Critics said, oh, it's a novelty. Black want to do ballet with a question mark. It'll pass. We didn't allow it. We didn't allow it.
We did not allow it.
Pioneers within a pandemic, back together for the first time since it all started here more than 50 years ago.
I remember the street festival.
5 Black ballerinas reclaiming their role in history to teach us all that in times of extreme injustice,
Black Lives Matter.
the most affecting art is born.
Lydia, why does this theater get you emotional?
because I was here from the first day. That's all she had to say. Day one, I was 17 years old. I didn't know what ballet could do for me. But I said, I'll give it another try. and then it was like, oh my God, this is fabulous.
America is shocked and saddened by the brutal slaying tonight of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Spurred by Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, Mitchell, the first Black principal dancer at New York City Ballet, knew what the power of an integrated stage could do.
So Arthur Mitchell started the Dance Theatre of Harlem after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Why do you think he did that?
I think he realized, I need to do something for my community. You know, I need to do something in Harlem.
And to figure out what, in terms of how
to do it.
to use what he knew
which was ballet, and to actually say, we matter.
Come on, John. Come on up here. Come on.
Inclusion infusing presidents, world leaders, Queen Elizabeth, elegant reminders of what is possible.
How did ballet help you get through the civil rights movement in the 60s?
I think we were ambassadors, and we knew we were making history.
We were classy. Ladies and gentlemen.
And what was the other phrase?
We're doing something way bigger than yourselves.
Yes.
This is much more than just you.
That was our contribution to the Black Power movement and the Civil Rights movement. We didn't have to go and march and hold packets or anything.
Their performances became their protest and their moves, creating a movement of their own.
We were breaking barriers.
Yeah.
You see Lydia doing Agon or Romeo and Juliet. You see Sheila and Rhythmatron, and it's like, and you, I mean, you're seeing Black ballerinas in ballet and doing it well, and people are like, you know, all of the naysayers going, okay, I guess I was wrong about that.
No burden if he.
No burden too big to bear.
We'll get there.
They got there.
The wonderful pas de trois that Gayle used to always do and scare all of us, but you know, to the song of He Ain't Heavy. He's my brother. And it had this amazing sort of signature moment. She is lifted up in the air. I mean, lifted, literally. He ain't heavy. Literally on
his hands.
On his hands. People, audiences should go crazy because it was both a stunning visual feat along with the crescendo and the moment and the music and what it said. It moved people. Yeah. They felt it.
You can lean back on him, lean back on him.
And that feeling continues.
I want to make something very authentic and just the power that you have as dancers.
Thanks to founding member, praised principal dancer, and artistic director, Virginia Johnson.
That was a little bit better, Derek. Yes, better.
And her trailblazing truth.
The curtain would go up and the audience thought that maybe they were going to see the Harlem Globetrotters, and they saw a ballet company of diverse people. And by the end of that performance, they were standing on their feet cheering for us.
So here we are again, experiencing a social justice awakening. What do all of you say to young dancers of all colors in this moment?
We got your back.
Yeah, it's still going to be a struggle, but we're here. We're family.
He is
Black.
my brother.
Brown. Ballet beautiful. Take a bow.
He ain't heavy.
And some unexpected and exciting news tonight for the Dance Theatre of Harlem. After word spread that this trailblazing theater took a real financial blow during the pandemic, we found out just last week that the Dance Theatre of Harlem received a $10 million gift from author, educators, and philanthropists Mackenzie Scott and Dan Jewett to ensure its legacy. The donors saying that they have been huge fans of DTH and had been moved by its commitment for more than 50 years to the arts, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so they dance.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
That's it. Yeah.
Things we don't need to experience.
So these brave and determined women had to dance over all kinds of barriers. They were told their bodies were wrong. They were the wrong shape. They had the wrong legs. They had the wrong rear end. But what they had really was the wrong color skin. That was the issue. What did they mean? What do you think they meant when they said, we wouldn't allow it? We wouldn't allow it. Let's hear some comments about what we've seen. Okay, Kitty, I'm going to put you on the spot. Comments about these wonderful women and what they said and what they did.
Well, they were absolutely determined, and they helped each other as a group. I think it would have been much harder for one or two of them to try to get into a ballet that was not Black. So doing it themselves, and that wonderful Arthur Mitchell, he was already a professional, and he was accepted in the ballets that were not Black. But he was determined to be the guardian of what was going to start new. They were very brave, because up until that time, Black women mostly were very quiet and cleaned things and took care of people, but never had a chance to do what they wanted. But these ones, they did what they wanted, and they did it beautifully. That must have been a lot of hard work to learn ballet. Wow. Even tap dancing is hard, but ballet is really hard.
Yes, as we've learned. Anyone else? Diane?
Yeah, they were doing what the whole Black community since hundreds of years ago, right up until now, was being resilient. Of you're not going to put me, in a box. You're not going to put me in a corner. You're not going to take away my life. And they just wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, that's what they said. We wouldn't allow it. We wouldn't allow it. Any other comments, Edie?
I would say they wouldn't allow it because you all just need to see what we're capable of. And maybe you're not going to like it because maybe you're going to see something highly professional. So we're not going to allow you not to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, Ziba, did you see any of the story?
I'm sorry, I missed it. But it's funny. I want to say that it's related to something that I just heard yesterday. And that was a young, beautiful Black girl went to get hired. And after the interview, the interviewer said that, okay, get up and turn around and walk. I want to see your figure. And I said, what? To the person who was, telling me the story. What kind of interview is that? And he said that the girl said he shut the door, very tightly for the interview. And I couldn't believe it. I said, I could never thought about such a thing. I never. And it's so strange. And if it wasn't for the, racial thing or belittling someone, he would never, ever, had liberty of even thinking about it. And and to my surprise, even these days, they do that. So
yeah.
It's related,
it's clearly illegal. And in addition to being just wrong, but it's clearly illegal. What did the girl do? Did she do it?
Sorry, can you hear me? Okay. She didn't. She got up and she said, excuse me, if I'm done, I'm gonna leave. Then, because somebody else, she said, meanwhile, right before that, somebody else came from the store and opened the door and came in. He wanted to see if the room was clear or not. Apparently, maybe some something that was there that he wanted. Then he saw that the room was occupied and he left. And then the poor girl, young, 20 years old, just devastated. I don't think she realized the depth of it, not just yet. But Hush was helping, and he said that I'm going to go with her mother, I'm going to go with her auntie, we're going to go there, and it's a restaurant. Have dinner and talk and see, especially invite the person, you know, get them introduced, that maybe he comes to this sense that, you know, what was that? Or even if nothing, that if the girl really determined to work there, so that he knows that this girl has family, as some people.
Yeah. Well, you know, strange things go on even today, but these women that we saw in the video are beautiful now in their older age, and the way they still have the moves, and their arms are beautiful and their hands are beautiful, and the beauty of their spirit is still very, very strong. You know,
Barbara, I have a comment. I know I'm Twilight Zone, but I just thought that when they said we wouldn't allow it, and it was just after the shooting and assassination of Dr. King, that they said you cannot silence the speech, and this was their speech.
Right.
This was the art that transcended above speech and writings and things that could be silenced. And they said our art cannot be silenced. And
right. That's exactly right.
I think that was so powerful.
That was their message. That was their message. Yeah, I have my own little story to tell. We spoke about little girls going to dancing school. When I was a little girl, 4 years old, my mother looked at me and she thought, this child has too much energy. I need to find some way to challenge it, channel it. So she went to the best dancing school in the town, which had never had a Black student. And she made an appointment with the teacher and said, I have this child and I would like her to have dancing lessons. And by the way, we are Black. And the lady said, well, I don't know, I've never had a Black student. And so they talked, and the lady kind of got to know my mother a little bit. My mother was a very elegant lady, by the way. And so anyway, they finally came to some sort of partial agreement. The teacher said, I will take her. She can have classes. She can have lessons, private lessons. But she can't represent me ever. And she cannot perform in my concerts. And my mother said, I don't care. That's not why she's here. I just want her to have some purposeful activity to channel her energy and she can learn something. Okay, fine. That was in August. So I went Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, every Saturday morning. My father drove us. I had my class. And then my mother and I walked back through downtown, and that was our Saturday morning activity for years. But anyway, after I had been going from August to about April, the teacher said to my mother one day, well, we need to think about Barbara's costumes for the concert. And my mother thought, what concert? You said she couldn't be in the concert. It was as if that had never been said. So they talked about costumes. Fortunately, I had an aunt who was an extremely talented and creative dressmaker. And so I had the most fabulous costumes all through my childhood. Well, years went on, and I grew as a dancer and became proficient and started taking not only private lessons, but class lessons. And so I was having lessons 3 times a week. And my teacher recommended me for community theater to dance and all of this and all of this. And then I went on later. The final bit of the story is when my mother passed away many years later, the teacher sent flowers. And she sent a note saying, to one of the finest ladies I have ever known. So that was my dancing school story. And, you know, my poor mother had to speak for me in many situations and say, you will give my child a chance. And there are many Black mothers that have to do that all the time. So, Diane, we're ready for you at number 4. You're muted, Diane.
I hate Zoom, sorry.
Like that.
So we don't have to wear our masks in Zoom. That's what's good for me.
I just want to get back together. Anyway, all right. So we've all hopefully heard of the ballerina Misty Copeland. And we think, you know, well, wow, she made it. And now all the doors are open. But we're going to hear a video of Misty Copeland and her conversation about what she has faced. Andrea, take it away.
On my way. Just make sure.
Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you most of all to Misty for being here. Those of you who are not dancers in the audience, becoming a dancer or getting into ballet at age 13 is considered ancient for a lot of these high, very, very high achieving ballerinas. Yes. So, but that was when you first started dancing.
Yeah, I started choreographing, I would say around the age of 7, probably when I started teaching myself to do back walkovers and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I would just, you know, I had a very chaotic upbringing in childhood, and my mom was married, I don't even know, 4 or 5 times, and there's 6 of us. We were living in a motel when I first took my first ballet class, but it was around the age of 7 that I started creating movement to Mariah Carey. It was like only Mariah Carey. And
you mentioned being this little brown girl who shows up in New York City. At ABT, this incredibly prestigious company, and I'm as a non-dancer, I can't understand how your body type would be considered not ideal, but I guess you were considered too athletic or too, you know, something, and you were under pressure to feel like you should wear makeup to lighten your skin tone. What was that like as a teenager to come to the city and feel like you were not right?
At that point, I feel like there were just like this slew of Black women that came into my life that were incredible in allowing me to believe that, you know, though there's no one around me in my world that looks like me, I still can succeed with their support, and that I was introduced to so many women that were Black women that were the first in their fields, and it was really important, I think, for me to see that. We don't know that history that Black women from the beginning of time in ballet have been told to lighten their skin, to shade their nose in a certain way so that they look white. And that was a big part of my youth at American Ballet Theater, was hearing those words. I could look around me at ABT and see white women who had my body or were bigger or were more athletic, had bigger breasts. And so it was like, this isn't making any sense to me. And, you know, and I felt like this is just the language that's been allowed to be used in the ballet world, because it's, you know, it's a subjective art form. It's about your aesthetic. And it's so easy just to tell someone, well, you're just not, you don't have the right body.
Right.
in reality, they're saying you don't have the right skin color.
Mattel was making a doll of you after you were named principal dancer. You were insistent that that doll reflect what you actually look like.
Yeah.
That the calves actually looked like calves, and they didn't lighten your skin tone, and they didn't change your nose. And
that was extremely important to me. I mean, it's so empowering for young girls to grow up with a brown Barbie that's a ballerina. And so I wanted it to not be just, put my name on it, but it's Barbie in a Firebird costume. I mean, even when they were kind of like, it's too late to go back and fix her body, like the mold, like this is what it's gonna be. And I was like, Lydia, you better pad her bra because her chest doesn't look like mine. I would say that maybe my first 3 or 4 years in the company, it was the first time that it really hit me that I was alone, like that I'm the only Black woman, and it was in a way that I didn't expect for it to. And it was the first time that race was really brought to my, like I know that it was talked about behind, closed doors when I was a young girl, but it was actually being said in front of me, and it was just shocking. I had been told, just that, well, I wasn't allowed to be in the second act of Swan Lake when they did the filming of it. I was told, even not to my face, but from different ballet mistresses that like I shouldn't be allowed to be in Swan Lake, period. That's when it has been so important that, I've had the people in my life that I do, and Raven Wilkinson has been one of those women, even before I knew her, that was so impactful. She was the first Black woman to dance in an all-white company, really, the Ballerinas de Monte Carlo in the 1950s. And I saw a documentary on the Ballerinas de Monte Carlo when I was in my early 20s. And I saw this Black woman come onto the screen, and it literally was like, I had no idea that there was a Black ballerina at that level in that time. And it was like my whole world was changed. It was the first time I saw myself in another dancer and that I could relate to her. And it was just like, our history is not told, but it exists as Black people in the ballet world.
So Misty had to overcome obstacles, the same obstacles that these women 50 years ago had to overcome, and it really makes me angry that this is still happening. I was thinking as I was watching this, the dancers that do the high kicks,
the Rockettes.
The Rockettes. Yeah, every time, at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and I'm watching, and they have the Rockettes. They're all white. Still, I think one time I saw one Black dancer in there, just one. But so after watching this video, we want you to think about some of the similarities and differences that you noted between the two videos. And she said something about the importance of having a mentor. So whoever has anything to say, unmute and let us know.
I can share. I feel it was really profound how aware, right? That she was aware of all the mistreatment of the race and the racism around her, and how it wasn't even thought of to play it off or be kind or considerate. It was just being truthful to her face and telling her this is what it is because of your color, and know that and don't forget it. That's the kind of vibe that I got from it, and knowing her own talent and understanding that she deserved to be there and still didn't have the open door because of her color. That stands out to me incredibly, and it made me angry. It made me realize that there's still so much power held in the race that you hold, and the unfairness is just, it's great.
It also shows that When you have achieved at the highest level, which she now has as principal dancer, it brings its own power. The fact that she was able to bring Mattel to heel and say, you will not make that doll unlike me. And if it's too late with the mold, you have to do something, because you may not trick little girls into thinking a regular Barbie painted brown looks like me, because it doesn't. And so it's the other side of the coin. Now that she has all this power, it shows what she can do and how she can make those changes. Otherwise, Mattel would have painted a regular Barbie brown and called it Misty Copeland. And little girls would not at first have realized the difference. But she wanted to make sure that if it was called Misty Copeland, it was going to look like her.
That's so cool.
What spoke to me was that history sounds to us like a long time ago. And then you see that 50 years between these two stories has prolonged the problem because no one spoke up. 5 ladies spoke up, great, we're happy to see that. And then young girls have to endure what she had endured. And it's not until she sees someone in another part of the world coming out on the stage for her to know that she can be the history. So we can change the history, we can be the history, or we can make it by not speaking. We can have every story, as she said or ended her comments, that this is, we may not be, the history may not have been told, but it exists. So every one of us have to tell the story that makes the history, or else it will never be the reality that needs to be. It will always be a history, and we'll never learn a lesson from it.
And the comments.
Go ahead, Diane.
The comments that she made about having mentors, the 5 pioneers, they also said, you know, they had each other's backs, but there were also people, you know, that had their backs too, which it makes, it underscores what we're doing with Who's Your Hero, that those mentors are so important no matter where, whatever line of activity or work or women are a part of.
And that's one of the reasons that we wanted to do this topic with our women's workshops. And, you know, the handful of women that are here, and then the ones that will see it on our YouTube, to say, you know, everywhere, in every aspect of life, racism and bias of all kinds have put their ugly fingerprints. It's not just, you know, jobs and the scary story that Ziba just told us, but it's everywhere. And we have to know, we have to root it out. You know, after today, none of us here will ever think, gee, I need to be ready to speak up about women, Black women in artistic endeavors, Black women in ballet, Black women in theater, in all of this. It's part of our responsibility. But you know, ballet is a highly specific dance form. And it's not that it's, the barriers are, you know, they're in all areas. They're different, but they're barriers just the same. And we're going to hear from some young college students who are dancers, some of them in ballet, some of them in different forms. And they have some very interesting things to say about bias.
Barbara, before you start, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you going to be sharing these stories, these pictures, these talks with the children as well?
Yeah, we will at some point, because we're going to be doing our mentoring program online this year. And so we will be using videos and things of that nature.
Okay, because I have kids here in my family and in my neighborhood that would love to be part of that. So keep me in information, okay? So we can.
Well, you can, you know, once Andrea posts this to our YouTube, you can show them yourself.
Okay, okay, but I mean, when you get the kids together, I'd like to know if you'd like to have some kids from New Mexico also.
Okay, all right, certainly.
Thank you. Like my granddaughters. Thank you.
At my old dance studio, and like we would be like the only Black kids that were there, and it would be like parents would look at us funny, or like you can like hear the whispers.
This is Sheridan Rickman. She is Loyola University Chicago's only African-American dance major.
You know you're the only one, and you know like people on the stage can be like, oh look, she's the only one. Like I'm gonna stick out because of that, not my dancing.
Loyola should work to raise more awareness for the dance program. This will also raise the program's diversity, says Sheridan.
I think I was the only person that auditioned that was Black too.
Maria Blanco is also a dance major at Loyola. Maria grew up in a mostly white Jewish neighborhood. Dancers of color would be alienated, says Maria.
People didn't pay attention to them as much. They didn't have as many friends. Girls kind of stepped aside when they were in the room. Just little things that were kind of present even in like little girls.
Commercial dance is more diverse than concert dance, says Maria.
It's a lot of the same kind of people, especially with the focus on ballet and like the white ballerina. But I feel like with commercial dance, there's a lot of diversity.
I like ballet, but everybody like contemporary or modern because you see more Black people in that, like the Alvin Ailey Company. And then there's like, you see ballet and like Misty Copeland's the only Black ballet dancer for ABT.
Jariana Baralt Torres is a Loyola dance major from Puerto Rico. Her sister is white with blonde hair. Jariana's brother is Black with dark hair. This is common in Puerto Rico and makes racism less common, says Jariana.
It's easier to consider yourself equally to others when it's your brother and sister.
Jariana never felt victimized for her race in dance, but her ballet directors were always white males, says Jariana.
They can't just be a dancer, they need to be like a director of the company, like it shouldn't be that way though.
Tim Eidman is Loyola's only male dance major. Being the only male provides casting opportunities.
For instance, like if they're going to do a ballet piece with a male in it, I have to be in it because there's nobody else here to do it, which is kind of a nice opportunity, but also not everybody gets that kind of a chance.
Loyola needs more gender diversity, says Tim, but a stronger male presence should not undermine the female dance majors.
Although there are many women dancers out there, I feel like they're very underrepresented and they don't get the same chances that male dancers do because the male dancer comes along and people want to keep them in dance, and so they give them all kinds of opportunities.
What can be done to make dance more diverse?
Not hiring people that are minorities just to hire them and make their company look good, but to hire them because they are awesome and add a flair to their company. And it's
From Live at Chicago, this is Jordan Kunkel.
Mouth to say what he wants to.
That's it. So Haley, you're on.
Okay. So what are we learning from these? We already started talking about it. We already started comparing the lessons from each of the videos. And then now we had the third one presented to us. So what are we learning, and what, if anything, we're going to do about it or should do about it? Let's hear some comments. Kitty, since you might be leaving, we could just give you the first right of speech. But you're muted.
I'm muted, and I'm sorry, I had to pick up a phone. Some young lady.
So the question's basically, What are we learning from these lessons? What should we do about our learnings?
Well, I think we should always include all of the children of any culture, any color, any language, to learn all the arts possible, whether it's drawing or dancing or singing or painting, whatever it is, we have to encourage them to the arts because they don't get that really at the schools. And especially kids who are in a group that is not being encouraged very much. We have to do whatever we can. And that's what those wonderful things that you're doing here with the small children, with the small girls, and also with the parents, with the mothers. I remember other activities that you all have been doing where the mothers talk about what they can do to help the kids. So I'm just absolutely amazed whenever I'm on this group to see how hard you're working and what the histories are and what you're looking forward into. And it's been going on for such a long time. I think it's wonderful, and I always tell people about it.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, and I think what we're learning too is we're learning not only racism that women are facing, sexism.
Oh yes, oh yes. We know that.
And bless this young man, this dancer. Bless him for what he said. And I hope he can use his influence and power to make changes.
Yeah, he realizes that he has an unfair advantage. He gets more roles and more opportunities simply because he's a man.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's so few.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to speak as a white person that somebody made a comment earlier about that, what was the girl's name that was a dancer?
Misty?
Missy. She knew things were being said, not in front of her, but in the other room about her and why. And the reason she knew was she might not have been born with those antennae, but she learned them very quickly because she was Black. So I'm suggesting that whatever it takes to implant or teach white people to grow those antennae, we need to do it. I also agree with the arts. Oh my God, I grew up in a little stinky little town with 1st to 8th grade in the same spot. And they introduced us to different arts and writing and just a little introduction, you know, a little bit exposure. And so this field trip we took, my most amazing thing in my life at that time, I was like 12. We went to downtown Chicago to the first widescreen theater and saw Oklahoma. I memorized every song. You know, they must be exposed at least. And when you take ballet, I think everybody should be able to take it and with no expectation. We just do it. I have my child in here because she has too much energy. I want her to do something. But not, you know, of course, encourage them to be good and better. But if they're not, oh, well, they're not. You know, if they're having fun out there, yeah, they should be exposed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't say it in this video, but yesterday when I was going through the videos after the one that we saw about Misty Copeland, I was eating my dinner while it was playing, and I just let the thing keep playing, and I actually was able to see a continuing turn of different videos with Misty Copeland being interviewed and talking about her life. It was wonderful. I mean, it was like 45 minutes or more of just continuous video clips about her and with her. And one of the things that she said was when she was 13 and went to that first ballet class, It was at the Boys and Girls Club in San Pedro. And she was in the drill team at her school, because to her that was moving to music. She always knew that moving to music was her thing. She didn't know how or why or what, but she had to find it some kind of way. And so she was in the drill team. And the teacher of the drill team recognized her ability and took her to this Boys and Girls Club and signed her up for the ballet class. The teacher of the ballet class at the Boys and Girls Club was a white woman who was a dancer, who had the note. She understood that children in depressed areas needed to be exposed to the arts. So she went and taught at the Boys and Girls Club ballet on a basketball court. And Misty Copeland was this shy, very highly introverted child who spent most of her life hiding from the other 5 siblings in her house, who were all very outgoing. And so she went and she sat in the bleachers for the first 2 or 3 lessons. And then the teacher came and got her and said, okay, now you dance. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning. So, you know,
Barbara, I just wanted to add a little comment. My granddaughter, who you saw her just a little while ago, she's taking ballet. And her teacher happens to be Black, young Black woman. And she is just wonderful. I don't get to talk to her because the parents, because the parents aren't allowed into where the dancing is. But I did talked to her a couple of weeks ago and told her we were doing this, having this topic, and invited her to come if she could and to give her comments about what her own experience has been. But she has a class. She teaches on Friday nights at this time. But I sent her the video of the 5 pioneers, and then I'm going to let her know about the YouTube channel so she can see the whole session that we had. But
Diane?
Yeah.
You can actually have an interview with her and do it with your phone or your car or your camera or whatever.
Oh.
And you can share it with us.
Oh, yeah. You see?
Yeah, it could be added on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, we would love to hear her experience.
I'm a dinosaur. Yeah, that didn't even occur to me. Yeah, we could do that. But I'm just so happy that my granddaughter has a Black role model to look up to.
I want to make a comment about the comment that the Jewish girl who had been brought up in a Jewish family with not so much exposure to people who were participating in the ballet art. But what she said was very profound, with that what has become politically correct now is to just making sure that we have representation of different colors and different cultures so that you're politically correct. But what we're missing out on, and I think that's what the lesson that could be learned from what she said from that last video, was that the depth of culture and depth of diversity, that the traditions that different cultures bring in, even to the dance, like you consider, exposure to arts is uplifting, it's inspiring. But if the girls didn't have to, or the boys didn't have to follow the ballet tradition of the white people, for example, but they could present their own traditional version of a ballet. You can imagine the artists that would be, this art will be flourishing in the future, where we have artists popping everywhere with different variations of what we used to define as ballet. And then I see that sometimes on Dancing with the Stars. They're just different versions of productions that used to be considered a waltz or, a tap dancing. It adds so much to the richness of this tapestry of art that I think that the next few generations will just have a ball with knowing all that is available instead of just having one representative or one Black and one brown, so that we have enough political correctness about it.
Yeah, that's very true. One of the things that I learned in this long series of videos that I saw last night, you'll be interested to know that Misty Copeland, for the last 4 or 5 years before he passed away, she did a series of videos and performances with Prince. He sought her out, and they formed this partnership, and she performed with him in some of his music videos and in some of his performances. And she said they had a very strong, supportive relationship, that she learned a lot from him about what it means to be a performer and about herself when she worked with him. And she considers those 4 or 5 years as an extremely important period in her life. So I don't know if they're available somewhere, but it would be interesting to see some of those. Probably the music videos would be available somewhere. But you think of that as an unusual combination, but it worked for them. And she was very happy to be able to talk about that.
Wow.
So, you know, as women, we find barriers and also opportunities in all areas of life. Who knew that something so beautiful and uplifting as ballet had such a dark underlining, as we have learned today? In our women's empowerment groups, we strive to educate, inspire, and empower. We've been building a list of suggestions over time. At different workshops, people have come up with suggestions, and we're adding to this list. And the question is, what can I do? So Andrea, if you could put up that other list of what can I do? This is our list. And the first item is, I can befriend a younger woman or girl and mentor her. And we saw in these videos how important that kind of a relationship is. The 5 older women, the 5 pioneers, talked about being mentored. Misty talked about being mentored, and we know in other contexts how important it is. And this is one of the things that we keep saying in our workshops. You want to do something? Here's something you can do. Find a young woman and mentor her. It talks about joining an organization and some kind of an effort. It talks, one lady who is a financial planner gave us this suggestion. I can help a younger woman or girl learn to handle money, build good credit, and grow financial power. So many young women, they have no idea. You know, you get a paycheck and you spend it. And that's what money is for. And yet building financial power means that as life goes on, you will have power to do other things that money can bring. Becoming informed about issues like this issue that we just learned about today, and spread awareness among other women. Look around in your community. Are there little girls of all kinds of shapes and descriptions going to the dancing schools in your town? Is there some little girl that would like to go that maybe in your neighborhood, that maybe the mama doesn't quite have the money? Are you able to help with that? Maybe send some little girl to dancing school, or some little boy to dancing school, or many other kinds of things. And then the last thing, reaching out to someone of another ethnic group to build a bridge of understanding. Bye-bye, Kitty. We loved having you with us.
Love you, love you. Thank you, thank you. Next time.
Brings back the memories of our dancing classes out in the boonies in Costa Rica.
Exactly, under the trees.
Under
It sounds delightful.
So anyway, this is our list. And we've been talking about the power of mentoring, the power of example, the power of support. So any comments that come to you as we think about that?
I think Kitty made a good suggestion about sharing these videos with the girls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if we could put that on there. Share. Let me see. Share inspiring videos, or share, with young girls and women.
What do you think, Ziba?
I'm just, throughout seeing the videos, I was thinking that why the meaning of beauty has a cliche, has some form, some shape in every little different art, being tap dancing or ballet, or rap dancing, or I don't know, the costume making. Every one of them has their own beauty. Who is the decision maker of that? I was thinking that within the questions here, or answers, I'm sorry, item number two, that the decision making, join the group, and volunteer for them, maybe to know the decision making people there. I can volunteer to join a local decision making effort to gain experience and make my voice heard. Okay, I know nothing about ballet dancing. I love it, I see it, I enjoy that, but I don't know what kind of form and shape they do that. And to be honest with you, I never thought about it. I was just thinking that they're like butterflies and they can be picked up so easily. And listen to the comment from the gentleman, the young male dancer. I understood that the ratio of the people that they can choose their dancers, they're less choices within the male. Therefore, when they have someone, they have lots of jobs and they praise him for them. The same with ethnicity, the same with white people versus black. Maybe the ratio is maybe a slightly part of it. But I want to go back to the head of the companies. Are all the decision makers in ballet dancing male?
Many of them are.
Or many of them. So they have this cliche in their mind that the beauty and the movement of this dance has to be in a certain way. Sheila mentioned that, okay, if we bring other moves from other ethnicity, but are they going to allow it? No, most Black people go to rap dancings and rap songs, and they find their ways that way. Most of the ones that they get a chance to get there. But are we going to make our society presentable to a bunch of decision-making men who are mostly the CEOs of the company, and maybe they know even just nothing about this beautiful art? How can we help that? Because are we making their costumes beautiful for the eyes of men? Is that what we do to our own women to make that presentable for a bunch of men who, you know, I was just exposed to that filthy idea of, you know, even dare to ask a 20-year beautiful black girl to get up and turn around and walk. Let me see you.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I want you to enjoy seeing me. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how we can form the question. I don't know the answer. But that is something in my mind. Are we as women doing something to give them that, feed them in that way or not? Help me understand that.
I think they have, in some situations, and maybe not all, that some of those CEOs have such power over their career that they abuse that, and the dancers feel like they have to comply to advance in the career. I remember one of the ladies that I did caregiving for, gosh, several years ago. She was a principal dancer, and she was telling me what it was like, that they would practically starve the dancers because they couldn't weigh a lot. And she would say that, and like I said, practically starving herself, and the male dancer that was lifting her would grunt and groan and call her a pig. She was so heavy. It was awful. This was like in the probably the 30s and the 40s. I hope it's not still that way, but
well, the ballet traditions came from Europe, from Russia, especially, and it was state-run, and the rules were extremely rigid, and children were brought to try out, and they were examined for their body type, for the shape of their feet, for everything, and they were either accepted or rejected. And once they were accepted, they were in like a boarding school. They were taken from their families, and they were in a boarding school, and they learned ballet, and they had their regular school and everything. And then as they grew up, this discipline that ballet requires as an art form was so demanding. And the ballet teachers, who were men or women, were called ballet masters. And they were rough and tough, and they screamed and they stamped and they carried on. It was like being in the army. And that was the tradition for hundreds of years. And when it came to the United States, that's the way it came. So people like Alvin Ailey and some of the more modern dance groups have broken away from a lot of that. But some things still linger on, like telling these young ladies that their body has to be a certain way, or telling Misty Copeland that she needed to color her skin or whatever, which of course she didn't do. But that's where the tradition came from. And so these other dance groups like Alvin Ailey and the Dance Theatre of Harlem and all of those do bring in other trends and other styles. And there is more crossover between ballet and a musical theater. I mean, it's still two different things, but there's more crossover. So I think those things are helping, but ballet is still a little bit elite. And some of those old things still happen. So what we do, I don't know. We make sure more little girls, different colors and sizes and shapes, get to be trained in ballet. And then when there are community groups, you know, different towns, some cities, large cities have their own ballet company. And they have citizen support groups. My friend Gwen in Chicago was on the Friends of the Ballet committee. You know, and those ways you can begin to bring some variety and pressure to make things more open.
And Barbara, one of the things we can do also is to, after educating ourselves, to becoming a voice by resisting the opiate of consumerism, right? Because we've learned how those are the decision makers. As he was asking, who decides what's beauty? What's the definition of beauty? And for ages, they have sold us their own ideas of beauty because they want to sell a product that will make us beautiful. And unless we start resisting that pressure, unless we start educating our youngsters about that opium and or that kind of addiction to what others think are considered beauty, we're not going to make a change. I mean, we have to educate and protest, basically. Find out what are the companies who are making advertisement by using fake images of people. For example, Macy's, for the longest time in their advertising magazines, you would not see overweight girls and women modeling or posing, and many of the other retailers. Once, you know, one of them starts because they have had the epiphany, or they had the light go on, or had some CEO of powerful role model of a woman who decides, you know, I'm going to make that decision. I'm going to hire models that are more like normal people as opposed to those who've been starved to death. Those are the places where we will make an impact. So educating, inspiring, protesting, being a voice, and helping raise a voice. Those are the ways that we could make little differences. But if you look back, we have come a long way. We have to be appreciative of what has happened, and then keep going at it. We have to keep going and working towards that change.
Yeah, in modeling particularly, now plus size models are everywhere. But I remember several years ago, if you remember the show Project Runway that went for a number of years. All of a sudden one year, they said in their recruiting, they were recruiting girls of all sizes. And they wanted the people who were the designers who were trying to get ahead in that show had to learn to design for women of all sizes. And so they would bring in, one time they brought in a bunch of housewives, just regular housewives, all different shapes, sizes, and descriptions. And the project for that particular week was that they all had to design a party, not a party dress, but a dress-up dress for these women, no matter what size they were and what they looked like, because they wanted them to have that experience. So, you know, little by little and bit by bit, you see now in the commercials on the TV, all kinds of sizes of people, sizes, shapes, descriptions, colors, hair sticking all over the place. You know, it's very, very different now. So there has been some progress in that area. As far as in dancing, we see different genres of dancing, but there's still a way to go, I think, in the strictly classical ballet. Any other comments?
Well, I got some good, because I already mentor my granddaughter in Florida.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, when somebody mentioned you might assist on dance lessons or whatever, you know, for one of her children, that might be something that I could discuss with her.
Yeah.
Because her 12-year-old is going through some spiritual, mental, emotional stuff. Number one, because she's 12, but she's had a pretty chaotic life. So that was a good idea.
Yeah,
think in that direction.
Yeah. And you know, it's not that you think that she's going to become a professional ballerina, but dance is good exercise.
Wow.
And moving to music is uplifting, and it makes you feel good. And it's very good exercise for the body, much more fun than calisthenics or jogging or anything.
Right.
So yeah, that would be a good idea. And this one on decision making, you know, refers to groups like we have here, our Healthy RC and our compassionate communities and groups of that type, where Diane and I feel that we have really been able to make a difference in the way people think about some things by working with those organizations. And we would be happy to have more people join us in those efforts. And we're fortunate that we're in a city that is willing to listen to the citizenry. And so those of us who have something to say need to get in there and have something for them to listen to. Okay, so Sheila, you want to wrap us up?
Well, I thought you were wrapping us up. I just kind of, that was the comments that we all heard. And what I wanted to do in wrapping up is to not only thank everyone for having participated, but also make a pitch that all of us really should be inviting our friends to come in. And if they miss coming to this time slot that we have, at least invite them to watch the YouTube with us and then have the same conversation that we've had. Maybe additional comments will pop up from that. Or if not, we've now spread the knowledge, we've spread the learning. So that is really one of the ways that we're trying to capture, with Andrea being on our board, on our advisory council and being on board with us, it's really helped us move much farther than we ever imagined, because now we can reach the world. You can contact your grandchild, you know, across the state lines or across the country lines, and just, you know, have them watch it with you and then have a conversation around it. You could have friends who are bored because of the pandemic and not being able to socialize, to just have a great conversation. I guarantee we will all feel better after watching those and exchanging ideas. So the next one coming up next month, we have another beautiful presentation, and it's a different kind of overcoming the barriers. So we'll keep it as a surprise for now, but you could be watching for the invitations. Again, the beautiful invitations that Andrea puts together and sends out, and all the effort that Diane and Barbara put together really by bringing these videos and these beautiful clips from the YouTube to us. Then we would just turn it into a 25 participants instead of 6 participants or 8 participants.
Yeah.
It would be, you know, helping us know that we're not doing something in vain. We're not doing it just for a few friends. We're doing it for the world to benefit from. So please do that. And then just mark your calendars always for the second Friday of the month. We've now moved to 5 o'clock. But really time and space is only a limitation that we create, because by being on YouTube, you could listen to it or hear it or have discussions around it every single time that you choose.
I have to say that the 5 o'clock was better.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was wondering, how soon do you see it on YouTube?
Andrea, can you answer that?
Andrea may be busy with the little one.
Oh, she may be with her
She's
baby.
She's a woman on the move.
Well, that's for sure. Well, that was my question. We go on YouTube. Do we just put in Women on the Move Network?
Yeah.
Will the videos come up?
Yeah, if you're not there, Women on the Move Network YouTube channel should be, yeah, she's putting there. Everything will be on YouTube. I don't see the bottom of that channel, but yeah.
How soon, Andrea? Sorry, she said Sunday. It'll be on Sunday.
Thank you.
That's very good.
I was advocating for Andrea to say that she is a woman of many talents.
Yeah.
She has her hand in many projects, and she has 4 beautiful children, and I think it's her husband's birthday this weekend. So she will say Sunday, but you know, no pressure. As soon as you can get it on.
Yeah,
we're grateful.
She says her sound isn't working. That's why she's writing everything.
I know. Yeah.
And she's going to put it on the website as well.
Yes, it's always going to live there.
Okay, so thanks everyone.
Yeah,
it's been very good, and
as usual.
We'll see you along the way.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Okie doke. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.